everyone, welcome to Play Hooky with me. My name is Roz, and in today's video I'm going to share how to do a block stitch border. This is ideal for any projects that have a granny style, and what's so great about this is you don't have to create a foundation border to get started. You can just dive right in with your border. So in this video I'm going to share how to make this stitch, some tips and tricks along the way to improve the shape of your blanket, and then as an added bonus I'm going to do another stitch, the Picot Stitch, which looks really good on this border. If you are interested in the look of this blanket and you're new to my channel, I do have links in the description box below to show you how to make this blanket. As always, there are timestamps below to jump to your point of interest, as well as little chapter highlights on the progress line under the video. This pattern is super easy. It's just a 2-row repeat. We're going to start with the blocks or the clusters, which just means we're going to be doing 3 double crochets, just as if you were doing a typical granny square. We'll be doing that all the way around, just going in between your granny clusters on your main base of your blanket. And then the second row, we're going to be making single crochet spikes to go between those clusters. And at that point, you'll just repeat this sequence until you get to the width that you want your border to be. If you're following along and making the Sunburst Granny Blanket from my channel, I decided to just do 4 rows like this, and basically because I was getting low on yarn. And that's what I love so much about this border. You can just make it as narrow or wide as you like. Go ahead and fasten on in the way you like best, going into any one of these spaces on your granny square or granny block. We're just going to be working our clusters or our blocks in between the existing blocks on our project. Once you've fastened on, chain 2. This is going to serve as your first double crochet. Now we're going to do 2 more doubles to make our first block or first cluster. Okay, now we're just going to continue on making clusters in between each space. We're just mimicking the granny square style. Now, if you're working on a pattern that had chain spaces in between your granny clusters, then I would suggest that you just continue on with that and create a chain between your clusters as you're working on your border. A quick tip here, if you find that you're adding the chain and it's making your border too wavy or big, just omit those chains, then it'll help tighten your blanket back into place. But I don't have any chains between mine, so I'm not going to include them here. I'm going to continue on until we reach this join area here, and I'll show you a couple of ways to handle that. The main goal here is to replicate the cluster with the 3 stitches on top. So to do that, you could do a double crochet in the first corner, a double crochet in the center, and then your final double crochet in the next corner. This is a good option if you find your blanket is getting tight and you need to give it some space to straighten out. Or you can do a 2 together double crochet. Start with 1 double crochet in the first corner. Now we're going to do 2 together. We're going to do a double crochet in this corner and a double crochet in this corner, but we're going to join them together to create 1 stitch. So to do that, we're going to yarn over and start our first double crochet, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and instead of finishing that double crochet, go into the next corner, repeating the process. Yarn over, go through your corner, pull through 2. Now at this point you'll have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through all 3. You've just done a double crochet 2 together. Do another double crochet in that same corner. And you should have something that looks like this. This is my preferred method because it looks a lot more like your other blocks or clusters, but you may find that it pulls your work in a little bit too tightly. So if you're having that issue and you don't want to do the 3 separate double crochets, you could always add another double crochet just to help straighten that out. I'm going to continue on now doing double crochet clusters in these spaces, and I'll meet you at the corner. Okay, we've reached our first corner, and I'm going to do 3 double crochets for the first part of my corner. And I'm going to do a chain 2. This is optional. You may prefer a chain 3. I just found, because I was working on a Sunburst Granny, which did have treble crochets with a chain 3 in between, I was finding that when I did the chain 3 on this, I didn't like the shape it was giving me. So I decided to go down to chain 2, and I like the look of it a lot better. So I would recommend that you play with both chain 2 or chain 3 to see what lays best for you. Once you've done your chain 2 or chain 3, do another cluster, 3 double crochets. And then just continue on with your blocks. To fasten off, I skip that first chain 3 and I go into the second loop and second double crochet. I just feel like it gives a better finish. And then that stitch there just sits on top of that first chain 3. I like to add a knot to hold it in place. And I'm just going to show you how I weave this in, because I do get questions on the weaving in quite a lot. I just like to find my way down to a meaty cluster. I don't do a lot here because I feel like I have this knot that is holding it in place. So I just do a couple of passes through here and call it done. I get a lot of questions about this tapestry needle here, and I just order these online because I can't find them easily at the stores around me. It's called the Susan Bates finishing needle, and I do have a link in the description box below. Go ahead and fasten on the side, however you like best. I've got a slip knot on my hook, so this is going to serve as my first single crochet. I'm not going to do a chain 1. Another term for this is a standing single crochet. Now what we're going to be doing is just chain 3, single crochet, chain 3, making sure all of our clusters have a single crochet. Super easy. But I do have a quick tip here. If you find that your chains are going way past your space there, I would suggest that you take it down to a chain 2. I found that I did that quite a bit as I was working on this row. You want to have enough space to put your next set of blocks in, but you don't want it to be too gappy either. And then on the other side, if you're finding that the chain 3 is not carrying you enough over this join area here, then go ahead and just do a chain 4. You're just wanting to give yourself a nice smooth finish. Okay, once you come to your corner, just chain 3 as you were. This will get you to your corner. Do a single crochet, chain 2 or 3 depending what you like. I wanted a very tight corner, so I only chained 2. Single crochet, and that's your corner completed. Chain 3 again and continue on. Now I'm just going to continue doing this all the way around, and row 2 will be finished. It's super easy to work your next row of blocks or clusters. You're just going to fasten on in any of these gaps here where your chain 3s are. Fasten on. I'm chaining 2 to get my 3 for my first double crochet. 2 more to complete my block. That's 2 double crochets. I'm not adding any chain spaces here. I'm just doing my clusters in each chain 3 space. Okay, I've reached my first corner. Here's my chain 2 space. So I'm going to do a cluster, chain 2, and a cluster in this corner. And then you're just going to continue on doing this all the way around. When you come back in with your next round of spikes, you'll just continue doing the same thing. Single crochet, chain 2 or 3, single crochet. but I'm not going to do another single crochet round here. After I'm finished with this, I'm going to show you how to do a picot stitch. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking advantage of these stitches at the top of your clusters. We're going to be making our picots in multiples of 3. This is the beauty of this stitch though. If you're working on a different pattern or a different project, you can change this. If you don't want to be doing them every 3, you could be doing them every 5. But doing them in multiples of 3 works really well with this block. So to begin, we're going to fasten on in the top of one of your double crochets. I have a slip knot on my hook, so I'm just going to fasten on, and that's going to serve as my first single crochet. Now I'm going to do a single crochet in these next 2 stitches. Chain 3. So what we want to do to make our picot is we want to slip stitch into that very first chain. You can do this a couple of ways. You can go into the complete chain 1 and do a slip stitch, or you can go behind it and you'll see a little bar and you can slip stitch into that. It's really a personal preference. I find that this is quite tight with this yarn, so I prefer to just slip stitch into that chain 1 completely. Moving right into the next cluster or block, do your next single crochet, single crochet, single crochet, and that's how you make a picot. We're just going to be doing that after every 3 single crochets. Now another variation, if you want your picot to be rounder, instead of doing a slip stitch into that chain 1, you can do a single crochet. There's a single crochet. Working into the next stitch, single crochet, single crochet, single crochet. So it's really just a personal preference for whatever look you're wanting to go for. Okay, I'm at my corner and I have the 3 single crochets for that first corner cluster there. Just continue on as we were. So at this point you could chain 3 and work your picot and then slip stitch or single crochet into this corner. But what I like to do is I like to start in the corner, so I'm just going to single crochet into that corner. You could slip stitch into that corner. It depends on how round you want your picot to be. Chain 3. I'm going to create a picot as normal. And then in that same corner space, I'm going to do another single crochet to complete that stitch. And then just continue on as you were, all the way around.